Last week, there were 5 journalists who their lives were taken. Today, we have another, I think it's fair to say, titanic figure inside of media who has passed away. That is Ed Schultz, passed away at 64 years old, unknown reasons. But you might know him from his time as the host of The Ed Show on MSNBC, back on MSNBC. More recently, he hosted The News with Ed Schultz on RT America. And if you watched him at any point on either of those shows or back in his days on the radio, you know that he gave a gigantic percentage of his time as a figure in the media to issues of the working class. There was no one that he wouldn't take on. He was fearless and incredibly hardworking. And obviously, it's a terrible loss for media to have lost him. In addition, just in terms of TYT, as a part of our history, he was one of the first figures in the mainstream media to give Cenk an opportunity back in his MSNBC days, allowing him to guest host for him. That obviously led to Cenk doing more and more hosting on MSNBC back in the day. And Cenk has actually recorded a video earlier today that's now available on the channel, on the Young Turks YouTube channel, talking about his experience with Ed Schultz and his thoughts about his passing.
Yeah, and as a bit of indicator what type of broadcast, at least, I think points of view that Ed Schultz made was, in the 90s, he was a conservative firebrand, as they call it, and talk radio. And then as you see things shift and see what happens around your world, you may change it based off of what that is. And then so maybe people who didn't know of that history would see him as just this MSNBC character who would speak only on liberal issues and go this way just because that's who he was working for. But you know what? That's the way things work sometimes when you see the way things are and you have a certain level of a character to the things you want to talk about.
Yeah, and he focused on issues that were not talked about very commonly at that time, not even all that commonly now. I mean, there are some figures that do more of it than I think people who don't actually watch the channels give them credit for. But he did it for year after year after year, back when it was incredibly unpopular. He received pushback any number of times because of his focus. But that's also why people look back on him now, I guess, in such a positive light because of his work, especially on behalf of the working class.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.